TitleMatchNetwork.com.
Well, Dusty told me one time, he goes, kid, if I could just harness your power, put blinders on you and hold the reins, and, he said, you'd be a millionaire. Because I guess I'm out there.
Well, Dusty, you said was booking at the time, right? How did he find you? Through your dad, or?
Yeah, me getting in the business was a favor. My dad in 1969 gave Dusty Dusty was on his way home to Austin, Texas to quit the business and start plumbing, and my dad gave him his big break in Dallas, Texas, and Dusty's an awesome individual, and he does pay his debts, and he gave me my big break, just to get in the business.
Was Eddie Graham down there at the time as well?
Yes, he was.
What are your memories of Eddie?
Eddie was one hell of a businessman.
A lot of people say he's probably one of the best Finnish guys in the business.
Yes, he was.
Right.
And I remember days like in the 70s when my dad and I were there. Eddie could tell when the riot was going to happen, where it was coming from. I mean, Eddie, he was phenomenal that way.
So you traveled with your dad at points of early on in your career, right?
Excuse me?
You traveled with your father in Florida a little bit.
Yeah, not in my career.
Right, when he was
wrestling.
Right.
That's where I learned how to do my Dusty Rhodes impersonation.
You want to do it real quick?
Well, he fired me for doing it one time, but it was just a joke. But it was like, listen, my babies, and you will hear the tales and exploits of Dusty Rhodes' American dreams. You see, baby, I fly across the sky on the edge of a lightning bolt. I shit lightning and fought thunder, Jack. Yeah.
What was your take on when Dusty jumped to Crockett and he took like some key guys from Florida territory with him?
What do you mean when
he left Eddie Graham's down in Florida and he started working for the Crockett's?
Well, I knew that. Yeah,
right.
He was coming up for the. He'd been coming up there. I was in Carolinas.
Right. Did he take you up with him, or you one of the guys?
No, I went beforehand.
Okay, you went before.
Yeah, I went beforehand. Around Christmas time, he was shutting the territory down. He sent me up there to go to work for Crockett, and then Dusty was coming up and making shots. And whenever he'd come in to make shots, I'd pick him up at the airport, and we'd ride around, and he'd ask me about how the territory was doing, and I would tell him, and at the time you had and nothing against any of these guys, you had Ernie Ladd booking South Carolina, Wahoo booking Virginia, Dory was booking, Johnny Weaver was booking Canada, Gene Anderson was booking the underneath talent. You had so many people in there trying to fight for whatever they could get, and what it needed to be is it needed to be one booker. The booking committees to me have never really worked because you've got too many people with conflicting ideas.
Right.
So you never follow anything. But Dusty had the creativity, and he was flying up, and I'd pick him up, and we'd make the towns together and everything. And he was just, he knew Crockett was going to offer him that contract, and he was just waiting on it. That's a funny story. I got to tell you this one. I got to smoke a cigarette.
Go for it. Mind? No, go for it.
Kids, don't try this at home. Anyway, wait, I just dropped my cigarette. Okay, here we go. All right, I hope you can appreciate this story. It's a true story. All right, Dusty called me. He was doing TV interviews. Okay, I was living about 45 miles south of Charlotte at my grandparents' place. And Dusty had been flying in, and I was giving him the scoops on how the territory was and everything. So anyway, Dusty, he says, well, he goes, Femi, baby, pick me up at the office about 4 o'clock. So I show up at the office, to pick him up, to take him to Raleigh. We had to work Raleigh that night. And get there, and he comes out of the office, and he goes, Timmy, he goes, he was pissed. He goes, Jimmy Crockett didn't offer me that contract today. He goes, but he got him a new office car. He got a $58,000 red Mercedes Benz. He said, we're taking the office car tonight. So I was like, okay, cool. So I'm driving this red Mercedes. Me and Dusty, we get to Raleigh. You know, after I work, I was, you know, first or second match. I get my shower, get dressed and everything. Dusty sends me to the beer store. I go get our beer for the way back, and round a little between High Point and Greensboro, I believe it was. I had to stop and piss. Yeah, we're singing songs, you know, Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, the whole night. You know, so I stopped to get out and pee. Well, Dusty gets out too, and he goes, Sammy, because he was still ticked about not getting that contract. And he goes, fuck this. He goes, this is Jimmy Crockett's new car. He didn't offer me my car. He goes, piss on his car. So we peed all over that Mercedes Benz. I mean, all over. We're laughing and we're drunk and we're, you know, driving to Charlotte. We stop a couple more times and pee on the car again, you know, just, oh, this is great. I get a phone call at 8 o'clock the next morning, and it's, Sammy, you got to get up to the office and meet me. And I said, and he goes, Sammy, he goes, get to the office as fast as you can. So I jump in my Buick and I drive the 45 miles into Charlotte, get to the office. When I get out of my car, I'm getting ready to walk in the office door. Dusty comes out the door and tosses me the keys to the Mercedes. He goes, baby, he goes, you need to take that thing to Taco Bell and get the works done to it. And the name of the place is Auto Bell.
Right.
It's a car wash there in the Carolinas. He goes, you get the works, have it all scrubbed up and the whole 9 yards. So I said, but Dusty, you thought it was great peeing on the car last night. He goes, yeah, but Sammy, go get it cleaned up. So I go get the car cleaned up, and I get back, and I walk in the office, and, you know, Dusty's sitting behind this desk. And I'm thinking, okay. So I go to hand him the keys. I said, Dusty, I said, you know, what the hell? I said, you know, last night. He goes, Sammy, he goes, Jimmy Crockett gave me that contract this morning, and that red Mercedes Benz is one of my perks. That's my office car. So we peed all over Dusty's car.
That's awesome.
You know, it was fun.
One of the questions I wanted to ask you before, going back to the NWA days when you travel with Dusty, there you are, you know, pretty much a young guy in the business, and you're here with the booker of the company. How much did you ever overhear Dusty saying, like, future plans with guys he was going to push and all that? I mean, you must have heard so much stuff. And would you just take this in and keep it to yourself, or did you ever, like, hear, you know...
What happens between... you know, people talking and stuff like that is their business.
Right.
You know, when office business is talked and discussed and stuff like that, you know, you respected that.
Right. Did you ever hear Dusty bury guys, like, you know, and
No.
No.
Cool. Dusty wasn't that way. He would try to find out the best ways to utilize people. Right. You know. I mean, he would take guys that, you know, he would use guys he didn't like to the best of their ability.
A lot of people that we've done interviews, I don't want to cut you off, said that Dusty would put himself involved with other guys that were over to get himself over for the rub. Did you ever see that?
He didn't have to.
He was already over.
It was everybody else that was working with him that he brought them up to his level.
Right.
You know, I mean, Dusty was a national superstar. You know, I was in Philadelphia one night. Okay, when Dusty, you know, was wearing the polka dots with Sapphire, the whole 9 yards. I'm up there. They put Dusty on right after Hulk's match,
and he got himself right over.
And when he walked to the ring, the people were on their feet yelling, Dusty, Dusty, Dusty. You know.
Right.
I mean, he pulled it off. Even though they got him going out there like a circus clown in yellow polka dots and, you know.
Right.
You know. He took what was dealt him and made the best of it, and people bought into him.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.